What's up, people? It's Sunday, and as you know, Sundays are for driving. So today, I've come up here to Angeles Crest, and I'm driving the Lexus RCF. I'm going to talk today about the design and the user experience of the RCF, and I'm going to show you why it's special and why the people who buy the RCF love it so much. Let's get to it. Oh, and welcome to the Sunday Club. The Lexus RCF was built for people who just want something different, and that's been the Lexus philosophy for a while now, just to be different. And it wasn't until I drove the RCF that I truly understood what that means. In every aspect that you can think of in design and engineering of the RCF, Lexus have decided to go the opposite route of a BMW or a Mercedes. Everything in this car has been designed for a reason, and it is designed to be deliberately different from the competition, and meanwhile maintain the classic Lexus motto of ultimate luxury, which this car does pretty well. And maybe it's not selling quite as well as the other cars in its class, but I think even that fact adds to its intrigue and uniqueness and rarity. And I think the existence of the RCF adds to the Lexus brand image as a whole. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to head up Angeles Crest and test out the RCF to see what it's really made of. In comfort mode, the car is very comfortable, it's very smooth, it's very quiet. It's perfect for a day-to-day commute. And the thing about that 5-liter naturally aspirated V8 is that it's almost tucked and hidden away behind all this luxury, and you barely hear it too, especially in lower RPM and when you're in comfort mode. One thing that I've discovered from driving this car so far is that it's just so much happier in higher RPM. The transmission is peppier, it sounds much better, the downshifts feel amazing. Of course, the power output and the torque are just phenomenal when you're in higher RPM. Oh my god. I'm gonna put it on Sport and then Sport Plus, and immediately the throttle response changes. The sound of the car gets a little bit louder. Oh. One thing that's really surprised me about this car was the sound of the exhaust. It's not loud at all by any means. Even when you're in higher RPM, you almost barely hear it. Again, that's another example of Lexus going the opposite route of Mercedes and BMW, making their car a quiet assassin. The 5-liter engine of the RCF is kind of like a throwback in a way. Again, it loves that high RPM. Well, listen to that downshift. The primary complaint that people have had about the RCF is probably the transmission. It's not quite to the level of the sports car transmission that other companies have achieved. It's a little bit outdated, but even that, I think, to a certain extent, adds to the character of the car. And in all honesty, I think people who buy the Lexus RCF are really honest with themselves. They know that they're not going to track their car. And let's be honest, probably 99% of all C63s and M3s and M4s are boulevard bruisers anyway. Very few of them actually see track time. So for use on the street, this transmission and this powertrain and the driving dynamics and characteristics of the Lexus RCF are more than sufficient. It is a heavy car, 4,200 pounds, and you do really feel it when you're going around corners. Lexus have done a good job of creating a suspension tuning with the TVD, which you can place in slalom mode as well as track mode, making the car a lot more nimble using electronic adjustments to the dampers and the suspension. It handles well for sure, but you still feel the existence of all that extra mass. So let's talk about a few things that Lexus RCF owners really love about their cars. Probably the reason why people would gravitate towards the RCF as opposed to an M3 or a C63 is that it's not a BMW or a Mercedes. You know, people just sometimes want something other than the mainstream, and that's where the Lexus RCF comes in. The other thing is that the RCF is not the Lexus of the sports cars. It's a sports car of Lexus. So for people who are big fans of Lexus and they just want to experience a sports car, this is the car. That's until the LCF comes out or something. And when I talk to people who own the RCF, the one thing that they always rave about with the car is the engine. And now I understand why. Another impressive aspect of the RCF is the interior. You know, it's very well put together. The quality is immaculate. The design is great. Everything, when you look around, from the design of the seats, how cool they are, and when you look at the door trim, the dashboard, the carbon fiber trim, this material separation, everything is done with a purpose and everything is done to perfection. And the build quality is present all around the car too, all around the exterior as well. Everything is so well put together, everything is fitted perfectly. And one thing that adds to the performance of the RCF as well, especially in handling, is the rigidity of the chassis. And that's literally visible when you open the door and see the thickness of the sills. I also heard a lot about the Mark Levinson sound system, so I had to try it out for myself.
I wanna be free like you. I'm a cool girl. I'm a cool girl.
And a lot of people have pointed out the cool factor in the gauge cluster and how when you turn on the car you see the RCF graphic and how it changes up when you switch from eco mode to normal mode and then to sport and the sport plus, and how the tachometer becomes very pronounced once you put it in sport plus mode, because at that point that's all you're worried about anyway. And of course, as an inherent characteristic of most Toyota products, there's the durability and the reliability of the Lexus RCF as well, which can't be overlooked. These cars are, by 2018 standards, pretty much bulletproof. They're built for the long haul, and you can feel that. Everything you touch, all the touch points of the car and the interior and the exterior have been designed in a way to give you this feeling of premium and this feeling of luxury and this feeling of durability. The Lexus RCF is a little bit more quiet than I would have expected, and a little bit more quiet than I would have liked for my personal taste. But again, that's part of the characteristic of the car, and I got over it quickly once I discovered the magic. Once I discovered the magic of this high-revving, screaming 5-liter engine. And of course, let's not forget the design and the exterior styling of the RCF. Because it's just as big a part of the car's character as anything else, if not bigger. Lexus in recent years have tried their best to really distinguish their cars from anything else that's on the road, and the RCF's design very much speaks to that. It's unlike anything else you'll see on the road as far as the character lines and the design theme is concerned. It's very much of a sports car. It has a very aggressive look. It has big hips. It's very wide, but it really throws the design rulebook right out the window with the outside the box shapes and forms and the character lines, the overall design theme. That plays a big factor in, again, the character of the car and why people buy it. On paper, it's in the same category and class as an M3 and M4 or C63 AMG, but as you can see, it caters to an entirely different audience. So in that way, I think it separates itself from the competition and creates its own demographic. Alright, it's been a fun weekend for me here with the RCF. It's definitely a unique experience. One thing that I found out for sure is that it's exponentially more fun on the open road when you can really floor it and hear the high revs of the engine than it is when you're sitting in traffic. So if you've owned or driven one, I would love to know your thoughts on the car as well down below in the comments. And as always, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time for another episode of the Sunday Club. Peace.